this, I didn't know that. You need to find out something. You're not going to know everything about an individual, but there are some basic things that you need to know before you get married. You have to be like Columbo. When I was young, I used to watch Columbo. You know, Columbo will ask some question and he will come back. I just have one more question. Be like Matlock, Perry Mason, be like the FBI or the CIA. You know, we spend more time checking out a car we are going to buy than a person we are going to live with for the rest of our life. Many of us, when we're buying a car, we go to a different car place and we go on the internet and we check out the car, so that when we are spending our money, we know what we are going to get. But we just rush into a relationship. You don't know if he's a serial killer or if he's crazy, and you're hooking up with him. I am in love. We are like Samson. She pleases me, he pleases me. And don't know if you go down that road, you will lose your strength, your purpose, your sight, and become slave to the enemy of your soul. Ask questions. What is your name? Is that your real name? Or that an alias? What is your father's name? What is your mother's name? When can I meet them? Why? You need to meet them, because if the mama is a fool and the papa is a fool, chip does not fall far from the block. So if you're going to marry to somebody, you need to know if their parents are fools. Because if the mama is a fool and the papa is a fool, you know what you're getting yourself into. Do you have an apartment? Who do you live with? Do you still live at home? Did you go to school? Do you have an education? Can you drive? Do you have a car? Do you have children? And if you have children, how many? How many baby mamas do you have? Because when you're married, you don't want baby mama dramas. You don't want people coming to your house knocking for child support. You take it for a joke, it's a serious thing. Do you have document? Are you legal or illegal? You better ask that. Because people are coming into church to get married, and when they get married, you realize that they don't have any papers, and you find that you are stuck. I met a young lady a few years ago. She was living in New York, working with a family. They used to spend 6 months in New York and 6 months in Florida. She went to Florida, she met a guy. They fell in love. They get married. And this is a true story. When they got married, both of them was sat down on the table, and the one says to the other, I want to talk to you about something. He says, and I want to talk to you about something too. And he says, can you file for me? And she says, I was going to ask you, can you file for me? Because both of them were thinking that both of them were straight, and nobody's straight. You better ask those questions, whether or not you're legal, whether or not you have papers, because you may get a hookup and then it's too late. Were you married before? You got to ask those questions. Were you married before? Are you divorced? Do you have a bank account? Do you have life insurance? If you're dropped dead today, can you bury yourself? Because some people get married, and you're married is just problem. You take up trouble, get married, and individual drop dead, you have to find $12,000, $15,000 to bury them. Do you have a job? How long have you been at this job? Because some people run from job to job. You need to know if he can keep a job. How is your credit? We don't ask that. Whenever I'm counseling people, I says bring the credit report. I need to see the credit report, because you need to know what you get yourself into. Do you have credit cards? When was the last time you went to the doctor? Do you have any health issue that I need to know of up front? What do you like to eat? How many children do you want? Do you go to the gym? Are you attracted to man and woman? Oh, Lord, have mercy. We assume that people, when they say I love you, is attracted only to you. But in the world in which we live now, you're going to ask somebody, because there is an undercover world going on where men are married and in the night they go out to the clubs. Serious thing, brethren. So ask question, are you gay? Are you a lesbian? You need to ask those questions. Ask question before you make the choice. Where do you live? Go on Facebook and find out something. Find out from their friends and something. Find out some information. Just don't marry somebody because they look good. And remember, as I said earlier on, being single is not a sin. Let no one make you feel guilty because you're not married. It is better to be single and happy than married and miserable. Single, don't marry for physical attraction only. Don't marry for physical attraction only. He can be dark, tall, dark, and handsome, but he might be mean and stingy. You know, the other day, I'm making a confession the other day, I look in the glass, and I saw myself. And I went up in the living room and I saw my picture when I was married 23 years ago. And I said to myself, Lord, what happened? And I have to confess to myself, time happened, and we change. As I look in the congregation, I saw some of you still beautiful, but I know 30 years ago, you were gorgeous. But time changed, age changed. When I came, my waist was like 30 something. Now I'm like 3 months pregnant. So if you're married to somebody just for looks, you need to understand that looks change. Some of us love big boobs and big other things. Realize that as you get older, everything goes south. Are you with me? Everything goes south. So be careful, because the reality is you better love the person and don't marry just because of looks. Don't marry a lazy person. Marry somebody who will work. Don't marry for money or for what someone has. Don't marry for sympathy. Don't marry to the individual because you're sorry for him or her. Don't marry if you don't love the person, because you're going to be in trouble for the rest of your life. Before you get married, pray, 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 and continue to pray before you get married. Don't marry before you are ready to get married. Don't marry without getting counseling. Anybody come to me and want to get married and no counseling, I say find somebody else. Because in your counseling session, you're going to have somebody who is going to be neutral and be able to find out some information that will help you, will either make or break you. I know that sometimes we are so much in love that we can't see. They say love is blind. Or I fall in love. Everybody that fall hurt themselves. A key to relationship, major difference, major adjustment. Major differences, major adjustment. Minor differences, minor adjustment. That is to say that the more you have in common is the more there is for a happy marriage. The less you have in common, you may survive, but you will feel like you are in prison, and that is why the Bible says, be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. You know what that means? The Bible says you should not yoke an ox and a mule together. Why? Because when the ox want to move, the mule sitting down sleeping want to rest. If you want to be happy, ox should marry the ox, mule should marry a mule. Because the reality is, if you don't marry it that way, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. Compatibility is key. Before you get married, before you walk down the aisles, take a good look at whom you are going to marry. The person you're married can make or break you. If you hear nothing else what the preacher says today, the individual you married can make or break you. I've seen life gone into shipwreck because they married the wrong woman or they married the wrong man. Be careful who you get married to. You get married and the man don't want to go to school to finish your education. You get married and it's just misery. Be careful how you get married. The story is told of a man who was in his bed sleeping, and his wife was sleeping beside him. And the man got up the night after sleeping and snoring and drooling. He got up and he found his wife was looking at him. And he was very surprised that his wife was just staring at him. So he said, honey, what happened? Why are you looking at me? I'm sleeping. Why are you looking at me? He says, I was just thinking what I wanted and what I got. I was just thinking about what I wanted in life and what I got in life. So be careful, because sometimes what you wanted in life and what you end up with is like night and day. There are 7 critical areas of compatibility. Number 1, before you get married, faith is important. You need someone you can pray with. Don't marry to him or her because she's beautiful. You need somebody you can pray with. You need someone you can trust God with. You need someone that you can grow deep in abiding relationship with. Number 2, before you get married, education. You need someone who can stimulate you intellectually. If you're watching CNN and she is watching the Cartoon Channel, you're in trouble. If you're watching CNN and all she wants to watch is Jerry Springer, you're going to be in trouble. If you are reading the Wall Street Journal or New York Times and she's just reading the National Enquirer and other tabloid, you're going to be bored to death. If you have a PhD and she have a high school job and she's a high school dropout, you are going to be in problem. Generally speaking, but there are exception to every rule. And what I say that is that when I met my wife, she finished college. She had a bachelor degree. I was a policeman in Jamaica. I left high school, joined the police force. So when I came into this country, I had nothing. She had a college degree. She could have said, I have a college degree. This brother don't have nothing. See you when you get a college degree. But she was able to work with a brother. Are you with me? The reality is, some of us are single because we're not willing to see somebody and work with a person. Not everybody gonna be on the same level, but if you work and pray together and the person is ambitious, I'm gonna say that again, and the person is ambitious, you can make life together. So when we got married, I went and did my GED, I went and did a nurse's aid degree, nurse's grade certificate. I work in the hospital and go to school in the morning and work in the evening. When I told her I want to go to Oakwood to study theology, she said come, and we went to Oakwood. The first year she says go, let me help you start. The second year she says I want to finish my master's degree. So while I was at Oakwood doing my theology degree, my bachelor, she was at A&M doing her master's degree. Do you know that the day where we're graduating, we graduate on the same day? Her graduation was 8 o'clock in the morning, mine was 10 o'clock. So we went to her graduation in the morning. I watched her as she walked up, get her degree, clap for her, we're proud. We jump in the car, and I went to the Van Brunt Center, and I got my bachelor degree in theology. Why? Because we were willing to work with each other. After we finished Oakwood, I says, I got to go to Andrews. I want to go to Andrews. She says, come. We went to Andrews. She worked a full-time job. I work as a security guard. They call it veggie cop on the campus. And I finished my master's degree. When I came back to New York, she says she was working, she get laid off, and she says, I always want to do another master in marriage and family. I said, go and do it. When she finished, I continue to do my doctoral degree. I'm finished my doctoral degree. Why I'm telling you this? I'm telling you this because the church that I came into, there were about 15 young men. And do you know that about 12 of us, women from different churches, came and married to us, while the sisters in the church would not marry to us, because the reality is we at that time wasn't up to par. Some of us are in church And there are some little brother here who love the Lord, but we're not touching them because they're not driving the nicest car. Pastor Blair is driving a nice car now, but he didn't start there. He used to walk. And the reality is that sometimes we must be able to see a brother or a sister and see potential in them, and with God's help, work with our brothers and our sisters to make a family for yourself. As I close, let me say something to you. Don't marry to somebody for what they have. It's better if both of you can work together and have something. You'll learn to appreciate it more when both of you work together. So you need somebody that is ambitious. You need somebody that will be with you as you try to rear your children. Money and spending. If you are the kind of person that will want to save and make a budget, and you're married to somebody that like to spend, you're going to be in big trouble. You're going to be in big trouble. There need to be sexual compatibility. If you are a microwave and you are married to a crock pot, or if your name is ever ready and the other person's name is never ready, you're going to be in trouble. Those are words for the wise. Sorry to keep up your time today, but as I close, I'm so glad that no matter how bent and broken we are, God can mend us. God can mend us and put us back together again. He's a mender of broken dreams, broken promises, broken heart, broken home, broken people, broken relationship, and broken marriage. So no matter how messed up your marriage or your relationship is, God can put it back together again. Nothing is impossible for our God. Come to him with all your weaknesses. Come with all your faults and your failures. Come with your shortcomings and disappointment. Come with your trials and your tribulation. He's able to fix you. Adam and Eve were placed in the Garden of Eden. But when Adam took of the forbidden fruit and gave it to her husband, they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. But I'm so glad that on the cross nearly 2,000 years ago, Jesus restored that was lost by Adam. I'm so glad that Jesus looked down and saw us in our lost condition and reached down and saved us. And through his spilled blood on the cross of Calvary, he made it possible for us to be saved. Yes, they nailed him to the cross, but he did not stay there. They put him in a tomb, but he did not stay there. He came forth from the tomb with power and glory, and because he has power and glory, he can give the same victory to you and to me today. Therefore, there's no one too lost that cannot be found. No one is too low that God cannot lift up. No husband or wife is too far gone that God cannot bring back. No one is too dirty that God cannot clean you up. No marriage is too far gone that God cannot fix. No home is too broken that he cannot mend. No prodigal is too far gone that he cannot bring back home. Jesus said to Peter, Simon, Simon, Satan desire to have you, that he may swift you like a wheat. But I've prayed for you, Simon, that your faith fail not. And when you are converted, strengthen the brethren. Satan desire to destroy your marriage. Satan desire to destroy your family. Satan desires to destroy your wives, your husband, and your children. He wants to rip us apart. He wants to destroy us. But Jesus said, I've prayed for you. Oh,